Welcome to Green Flag Attraction Podcast, a relationship podcast designed to help you uncover the red flag addiction
and create your own green flag style attraction. In today's episode, our intention is to explore if having it all is realistic, because you have probably heard that you can't have your cake and eat it too. And so we're going to talk about it relationship style.
I'm excited. Let's get into it.
I know. So I feel like the common narrative in if you can have it all in a relationship is what is all to you.
Well, I think that depends from person to person. It varies, right? Everyone's definition of having it all is going to be different. My definition is different than your definition.
Yeah, for sure.
And our parents had different definitions than we do, obviously. So, and I think that rings true to a lot of, to our listeners, a lot of people out there, that you first off have to realize what having it all means to you and what's standing in the way of you getting that currently.
Right. And I think that there's a lot of things that can stand in the way. I know that for me, a thing I wasn't aware of for a long time was some of my past traumas, feelings that I didn't really want to work through, and the feeling that I didn't deserve it. And I think that if you don't think that you deserve it all, it's going to be really hard for you to attract a relationship that gives you all of that, because what you believe is possible is usually as far as the reality will take you.
Yeah. And also when you look at relationships, the dynamic of a relationship has changed a lot since our parents or our grandparents. So a lot of people are still view or try to mimic a relationship that they saw their parents leaving, or the opposite of what their parents had. So It's also doing the self-work you need to see on, what's a positive light for you to look at in a relationship? What is a downfall? What commonalities or what things do you feel about relationships, right? Opposed to other people that are out there, and just really knowing what it is that you want in a relationship, what's important to you. That's step one from having it all, right? So having it all for some people might be, a guy coming home and having a homemaker that has 4 children and she cooks and cleans and works all day, and that might be having it all for him. And other men want someone that is successful and driven and has her own, network built out for herself, and she can support herself. So that might be what having it all means to that person. So first off, it's realizing what having it all means for you.
And I think going back to the societal expectations of kind of not only figuring out what you want for you, but also recognizing maybe what you were taught and how it challenges that narrative, because the narrative that I was raised with is not what I currently hold to. And so I got married because of that for the first time, thinking that I needed to fit into this box of what society says a relationship should look like, when at the end of the day, it really wasn't deep down what I truly wanted.
Yeah. And same thing goes with me in previous relationship. I stayed in a toxic relationship much longer than I should have stayed in that relationship, because I didn't want to turn into my parents. I didn't want to be like my, I didn't want to be divorced and remarried multiple times. I didn't want, that wasn't going to be me. So I was more headstrong on making sure that narrative didn't happen, opposed to actually living the life that I should have been living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you wanted to be living. There's no shoulds, or don't should on yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
But so once you figure out what you want, I think that the next step is figure your stuff out, your own personal stuff.
Yeah. So step one is all the self-work. Do the self-work to understand what it is that you need from a partner, but also what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah. And what you want, but also how are you showing up? A quote that I love is that you attract your level of confidence or woundedness or whatever that is and lower. And so when I got out of my marriage, I really took a hard look in the mirror and was like, okay, why do you keep attracting the same type of person? Why do you keep finding yourself attracting all of these red flags and settling for less than what you truly want? And at the end of the day, it was because I didn't have the confidence to ask for those things and really show up as what I knew that I could. And so I think that there's sometimes this narrative or this belief that you should want the whole package, but like also what are you offering and what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah, 100%. And it also goes back to like a lot of people's issues in relationships that I've seen, right, from talking to friends and other people in our circle, is it's the traumas that we have from childhood that we didn't know we had, right? They come up in like everyday life, and or ways we react to things is really just a subconscious programming from, you know, something that happened when we were 5 years old or 6 years old or 7 years old, and we're not aware of those things.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean, is really doing the self work to say, okay, why do I keep attracting red flags? Right? Like what am I doing? Because we're always focused on everything outward, right? And what is everyone else doing to us? Or, man, I can't catch a break, and I always seem to find the wrong type of guys. Okay, well, what are you doing to attract those men, right? Or same thing with girls, right? For men in relationships is, well, I always attract this lady that wants all my money, and she is not willing to, you know, build a bond or this, that, or the other. Okay, well, how are you attracting that person to you? So it's really taking, you know, everything in your life is a reflection of, you know, what you've settled for, or the, you know, the values you have set for yourself. So it's realizing, you know, what is it that I want in a partner? And then what do I need to become in order to attract that person to me as well?
Yeah.
Because everyone's so focused on everyone else changing and turning into this, or I'm going to find that magic person one day, when really it's like, have you created yourself as that magic person to someone else?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's just focusing on the new diet or the new fad or the new supplement, or what can I do today or what can I do tomorrow in order to completely change my situation 180, when really it's just those small work every single day to get better.
Yeah. And I think that the last step to kind of put a bow on that is to not settle, but having the confidence to not settle. Because it's one thing to say, like, you know, I'm not going to settle for this, or I'm not going to settle for that. But the trust that it takes to wait it out and hope that either the person you're with or the person you're dating, you know, might elusively change one day. And there also comes the point where you have to live in the reality of you can't change someone. And at the end of the day, you can only stand up for what you want for yourself, and what are you going to settle and not settle for. And I remember when I got back into the dating world after doing a lot of this personal work, it was really scary to say no to people that I previously would have said yes, and just like, oh, we'll figure this out, we'll see where it goes, when at the end of the day, they weren't sharing the same core values as me. And that's why I ended up in relationship after relationship with the wrong people, is because instead of just seeing the red flags for what they were, or just a difference in values or work ethic or whatever it might be, it really does take trust to not settle.
Yeah. And also, that's one thing that you brought up that I'll hit on is, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers can relate to this, on my side of things, where I was in a relationship for 10 years. So when I was dating in my quote unquote prime, as they call it, in your 20s, there were no dating apps, you know. And then I heard about dating apps through friends around the scene and this, that, and the other. And then, you know, it looks enticing, it looks fun and all this, but then you get onto it. It's almost a full-time job in itself. Like, it really is. And then how do you not become shallow in the process? Because that's typically what you're doing. You're reacting to a photo. The first 1 or 4 photos you see is this girl physically attractive, right? Would I mate with this person and so forth? So I think that just the whole dating world that we're in now, with all the different, I mean, look at how many different apps there are and different websites and meetups and this, that, where you can go and meet your potential lover. I mean, we met online, but it was not fun.
Potential lover.
Hey, you never know. Right? Some people.
I mean, I had some fun. I won't speak for you, but I had fun. I think that whatever emotion you choose to bring to it is what it is. And when I re-entered the dating world, I had a lot of not fun previously. And that was one thing that I specifically worked on, was my mindset around dating, and truly believing that good men existed good men were attracted to me and that I was deserving of all good things. And so when I had interactions with people, strangers online who were not that, it was so much easier for me to just move on because I was looking for a fun experience. I was looking for someone to create a relationship that I had in my mind that I had never experienced. And so for me, a huge value for me is fun. So I brought that into it.
Yeah.
So I also think it can be whatever you make of it.
Yeah. So bringing it back to having it all, I mean, there's one good actionable step that I can give to anyone. And she saw it when one of the first dates we went on, or the first time she came over to the house, was I wanted a girl that checked all the boxes. Not that I wasn't going to settle for anyone that didn't check all the boxes. So after I went through a messy, very expensive divorce, I decided to take a year to myself to just focus on what I wanted, what I needed to become, what I wanted to partner and so forth. And I wrote down a list and I wasn't going to settle until I found someone that checked all the boxes.
And he actually did have a whiteboard hanging in his kitchen. I still have a photo of it with a list of things. And I sent a picture to my girlfriends because I was on a first date with this guy. And I remember walking into your kitchen and you having that. And I was like, I like that. That's on my list too. So having someone who knew what they wanted was also important.
And just to let you know, it didn't say all the things I wanted in a partner. It just on my vision board in a way. I had multiple things up around the house. It just said, find a girl that checked all the boxes. She didn't know what the boxes were.
I didn't know what the boxes were.
It said,
but it was there along with all your other goals that you had set out for yourself. So I love that. So is having it all a trap or a triumph? What do you think?
Well, in my mind, it's the ultimate triumph. If you can balance work, life, family, success, financial, spiritual, if you can balance all of your things to where each one of those areas are getting met satisfactory for your life, then I don't see anything that could be better than that. And I've lived both ways, right? I've had no money and focused 100% on family and was paycheck to paycheck and just getting by and was miserable. And I've had, enough money to do whatever I wanted to do with for the most part, but wasn't fulfilled because that's all I was focusing on at the time. So in my world, having it all definitely is very realistic if you know what it is, if you know what you want.
Yeah.
And
I think the only way it can sometimes, I'd like to play devil's advocate, how it can feel like a trap is that people don't think that it's real. I think that so often when I say you can have it all, people have a really hard time understanding and truly believing that. And I think that that's why it's so important to get clear on what you truly want, because we all want different things. And it's like, I think that people go to like the far extreme, oh, well, you couldn't have this, you couldn't have that. It's like, well, I don't want those things. And I think that once you really get clear on what you want and don't care about what anyone else says, it's really easy to have it all because what you want is so specific to you and you're not looking outside of anyone else.
Well, that brings you to social media. Like that's one thing that we've been pretty vocal about in our everyday posting and things like that is we want a bigger life. We deserve a bigger life. We want nice things. We go to nice resorts. We take nice trips. We give ourselves, we like quality in pretty much every asset of our life. And that's a value of ours. And that was really big for me to lean into because I grew up with if you have food on the table, clothes on your back, shelter over your head, then you should be happy. That's all you need. You don't need money. Like money's evil in a way, right? It's kind of what I was raised to believe. So that at an early age caused me to believe that I'm going to get a $20 an hour job. I'm going to go work somewhere. I'm going to have a family. I'm going to retire, have a nice little retirement set aside. And that's just kind of what I thought people did. That was the only way forward. And then I got introduced to this whole nother life where people that were, have done way worse in life than I have, but are excelling at certain things. And I was like, well, you can have it all. You can have a successful family and a business, but a lot of social media will tell you the exact opposite, right? Basically what I'm seeing from the masses, from the gurus that are on the space is that it's one or the other. You either grind every day until you die at 16 hours a day, never give it a break, or you're not committed enough to your goals if you're not willing to do that, or yeah, you have to give everything into your family. You have to pour everything into this. You have to go above and beyond to be the provider and this, that, or the other. So it's just, you have to find what works for you and not what society says works.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing, once you find that, to fully like lean into it. Because most people, that's one problem that I had was, man, there's certain things I don't want to post online. Well, what if they give this impression? What if someone gets this impression about me? Or what if someone hits me up and wants money, which has happened, or this, that, or the other? And it's like, well, I don't want to live my life inauthentically because I'm worried about how my parents are going to view that, or how friends are going to view that, or exes or friends or whatnot are going to view me or my decisions at the time. In reality, it's just stepping fully into what you want, and then being okay with that, because you're going to lose friends and you're going to lose family. You could right along the way, and ultimately at the end of the day, what's most important to you is being authentic for yourself, or
yeah.
You know.
And also, like, if you want whatever your all looks like, is it sustainable for you? Because the life that you choose to create, I see so many people going like, I'm going all in on my goal, and then they get burnt out over and over and over again. And so is the relationship that you want, your all in relationship, is it sustainable for you? Is it something that you are able to contribute and develop in a long-term conversation, not like a short-term, I just want someone now?
Oh yeah, I was the master at list creating. I could create all the lists. I could make all the goals. I could make the perfect schedule. I could sit down and mind map everything for 2 hours and be like, this is it. I just watch all these podcasts. This is a new routine I'm going to do. Oh man, I'm really excited about it. Then yeah, you hit it hard for 4 or 5 days. And the 6th day you're like, I'm not accomplishing anything different, or even you get 2 weeks into it. Or let's think about one of the biggest things out there right now, 75 hard. 75 hard. We've done 75 hard. I've completed 75 hard. Did I continue to do all of those things after 75 hard? Absolutely not, because I knew it ended at a certain day. I knew, at day 76, I can get a drink. I can do this. I can slack off. I need a break. I deserved a week break, right? Be off my exercise or this, that, and the other. But you go into it as just that. I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of people go into 75 hard to prove something to themselves. You can do anything for 75 days if you really want to do it. So it's not proving something to yourself, it's the consistency, but really that whole program was created for discipline. It's helped create discipline. And if you look at it, it's not just 2 months. It's 2 months and then another month and then another 2 months after that. So it's a whole process built out to continue to get you outside of your comfort zone. So I did it just because it was the buzzword. Everyone was doing it. It was a challenge that we could commit to together, and something we were doing as a team together, which has helped us, is doing things together or making commitments as a team has really helped us grow. So I love the fact of doing it. I think everyone should do it at least once, but go into it with the right mindset of what are you actually getting out of this? Are you doing it just to complete it? If that's it, then cool. Just know that once it's complete, you're probably going to go back to doing the same shit you were doing before. But if you look at it as, okay, I'm going to create this as a time to actually foster these habits and actually do these things, then you'll get more out of it than most people get out of it, I guess. So yeah, I was the king at creating lists and doing all these things and making all the changes. I'm going to track my macros. I'm going to weigh my food. I'm going to go to the gym twice a day. I'm going to do affirmations day and night. I'm going to do my goal setting, my reading, time with family. Oh yeah, now the business stuff. And then it's decision fatigue after a while. And you realize that I was just doing that because there was a lack somewhere in my life and I was trying to make up for it. So if I just do a lot of stuff, then it's sooner or later it's going to get better. When in reality, it's the small calculated decisions that move the biggest. Smallest hinge that moves the biggest door. Someone used to say to me. I
think to create a lasting relationship is creating that. It's like a muscle that you have to practice. You have to practice the communication. You have to practice the vulnerability. You have to practice, working through your triggers, and knowing why you're doing it is so, so important. And I think that's, why having it all and having a partner that also wants it all is so important, because their commitment to showing up to themselves is so much higher than someone who doesn't know what they want. And when you're trying to build a really powerful relationship with someone and they don't even know what they want, how are you supposed to grow with that person? And so for you not only to know what you want and your partner to know what they want, when you combine those together, it's like magic, because so few people can say like, this is exactly what I want, what I'm committed to showing up as, and expecting that level of commitment from the other person is super important.
Yeah, and just like having the check-ins, like we have check-ins, we say weekly, but pretty much daily we have check-ins with each other on how are things going, where we're at, just focusing on like how close we are to our goals in a way, right? In a nutshell, it's really what we're doing. And one thing that I want everyone to realize too is having it all, like for me, having it all changes, right? Like how many times have you thought that if I just get this one thing or this one job or this one promotion, or if I get this one girl to go out with me, if I just get this one thing, everything's going to be awesome. Then you get it and you're like, wait, that definitely did not feel or give me the impression that I thought it was going to give me, right? Like I'm still lost, or I still have a void somewhere. So some people that want to build and exit a company for $100 million, cool, you do that, then what?
Yeah.
You got your all, right? So there's always another level of having it all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It always changes. It's always escalating. It's always getting bigger. It's always a moving target per se.
Yeah.
It's never one thing.
I think especially for high achievers too, is like, I think it's kind of in our nature to just want more. And there is a fine line between wanting more and having it all, but then also just being so grounded in the gratitude for what we currently have. And I think also just the self-awareness of knowing that with the next level comes learning, and we're always constantly in evolution of learning new things. And so sure, we do have big goals outside of what we currently have. So do we have it all? For what I want right now, yes, because I know that the skills I'm learning now are just the stepping stones to what's on the next chapter.
100%. And that brings up a good thing, right? It's going down to how I live my life and how I know you live your life is in a state of gratitude, right? Like we're in this hustle culture where some people think that it's cool to see people flashing with a Rolls Royce or the new Phantom, the new watches that are out or whatever it is, and that's fine, right? That is good for some people, but also there's also a lot of people that hate on people for showing those types of things online or being the quote unquote influencer or guru, when in reality, like, they earn those things, right? So that's a value to them. There's other people that's a value to that they attract. It's okay if someone does something that you don't align with. Doesn't mean that they're wrong. Doesn't mean that they're cocky. Doesn't mean that they're arrogant. It means that it's a value to them and they're happy for what they've accomplished.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another thing that was big for me is, yeah, like those things are influential to me. People that have nice vehicles and they have private jets and nice homes and they're living the life they want to live. And really what it comes down to is it's freedom, right? Having it all for me is the ultimate. Having it all is just having freedom to express yourself how you want to travel when you want to, spend as much time with your family as you want to create whatever experience you want to create in life. Like that's having it all in a way for me, or a version of having it all is just ultimate freedom.
Yeah. And we do that now, and we don't need a private jet for those things to happen. And I think that that's where the shift happens, is you can have it all right now. It's not something that you have like that's super far away. Like you decide your happiness, you decide all of these things. And so it might look like different stages throughout the process, but like, what is your have it all right now? Like, what does it look like if you aren't in that relationship yet? And that's something that is, on your goal for the future. What can you do right now to cultivate like the happiness and the gratitude and to become that person that you want to attract? But it's not a like either or. And I think that that's what I thought for so long was, oh, when I get in the relationship, like I'll be more secure, I'll feel happier. Oh, when this happens. And at the end of the day, until you're truly like grateful and happy with where you're at right now, it's going to be so much harder to create that change that you're looking for.
Yeah, and it also comes down to the influence. Like well, that's why they call them influencers online, right? You have to really check into what are you being influenced, what are you influencing yourself with every day, right? Because you decide to follow these people, you decide to engage on content. The algorithms are picked off based off of your engagement on these platforms, right? So if you're seeing a bunch of stuff that constantly has you in a depressed state or a comparative state, or you're seeing all these nice things and all this flashy stuff, but that's actually doing the opposite. Some people see that and it motivates them. Like, man, I'm going to do that. I see someone have it, I'm going to do it. Some people, they see that and they get deflated. Like, oh, wow, I've gone through all these things and I've done all this stuff. Same thing with, hey, right now might not be the best time for you to start your business. It might be okay to be an employee. You might make more being an employee than you will starting your own business. You might be happier going in, working 9 to 5, having that lifestyle. Like, it's okay, but our society is getting farther and farther away from, you dictating what's okay for yourself and you having to live in a box that someone else has created for you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, now it's sexy to be an entrepreneur that hustles, that has a laptop lifestyle, but doesn't really have any direction. They don't really know what they want in the long scheme of things. They want money, but money's only one piece of the puzzle.
I think it's also deciding like what you want. Like, if you think you should be an entrepreneur because that's what is quote unquote successful, and you think the laptop lifestyle is where it's at, but you don't like to travel, well, it's probably not the career for you. So I think that it also comes down to like knowing what you want in relationships, and also seeing how that mirrors like into your life. Like, I realized from past relationships, like, I need someone who thinks I'm funny. Like, I was married to someone who didn't think I was funny. Like, that cramped my style. So now that goes like up higher on the values list, right? And so as you get through like figuring out what you want, how can you translate that into like how you also show up and like what you want and are looking for in a partner?
Yeah. So I think the end of the episode, yeah. Can you have it all? You most definitely can. If you're willing to do the work and sit in the uncomfort and sit in the pain that you've created for yourself long enough to truly understand what it is that you want and what you have to bring to the table.
Yeah. What do you want? Are you showing up as that person? And are you committed to being in the process, whether that might look like figuring it out with your person, waiting for your person, starting over, whatever that looks like? You probably know it's just taking the scary leap of faith to trust yourself and to trust that what's out there for you will also come to you. Tune in next week. Thanks for listening to our first episode.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 1 of our podcast, Can I Have It All?
Whoop, whoop.
And I think we've decided, or we covered that you most definitely can have it all. You just have to figure out what it all is for you. So if you're getting any value from this, if you guys would like more of our content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment your biggest takeaway, what you got from this, what you would like to see more of. And if you remember one thing from anything we've covered today, it's you are responsible for it all. That's the takeaway we want to leave you with.
And we will see you next week.
Have a good one.